Hey everyone, this is the 2022 Barbed Wire Enduro, hosted by the Southern Tier Enduro Riders out of Gillett, Pennsylvania. This event's part of the CEA Championship Enduro Series, one of like 16 or 17 races this year, so we got a packed schedule. This was held back towards the beginning of June, I forget which day, like June 14th or something, and you can see here is like the beginning of the dry season. We started off for the first section following Steve Burke. He's in a senior, I believe, 50 plus, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted him, I ride B250, and I wanted him to go first. Number one, he's probably faster, but also it really helps me out to have someone faster than me and follow them. So they can set the pace rather than I set the pace. So the first section here, I'm just trying to keep up, and I feel pretty good. I remember going into this event, I felt like mentally unprepared. But I guess by the time we got to this first section, I felt pretty good. Now, one thing on this first section we can see here, we just blew a corner. Like, looking back at this video, it's very hard to see the arrows. The sun is constantly... the sun glare is constantly across the goggles. It's hard to see. You know, you're always looking for arrows, and look, we blew another corner already, and I stalled. So we're bushwhacking through, like, these dead pine branches. They're breaking off in our faces. Stalled again. And now I gotta catch up. So here we are, double track. In that moment, the arrows kind of came out of nowhere, and actually Steve missed the turn completely. He blew down that double track, and I think he rode down it for like a minute before turning around or something like that, so we lost a lot of time. My friend Keith there led me around, and then we have Ray Malley. He's actually in the Masters A class, I believe. So that's 60 plus, I think. So he lets me around him right here. And we still got a ways to go. Actually, this first section, I cut a lot out, but this first section was a good, I don't know, probably 25 minutes. You see here, it's like a mix of single track and double track. It's mostly single track, it's mostly like fast stuff. But then we hop on these ATV trails really to like connect the single track. And in those sections you can really open up, but then you dip into the woods and it's like the trails are burnt in. They're pretty well used for the most part. There was a little bit of new trail in this event, but there's a lot of leaf litter and deadfall. Nothing major, no like huge logs. Any of the big logs I'm sure they cut out, but move off the trail. But there's a little bit of like trail searching, at least in this first section for sure. I would have liked to see in this first section a little bit more ribbon around those hard corners. I imagine that a lot of people blew them. Getting some passes here. This guy here who just passed me, I'm following him, keep at pace. So what's interesting about this race, kind of over the trail, is that last year it was a total bummer. I mean, it rained the week leading up, it was raining during the event. I was on an early line last year, so I didn't get the worst of the mud ruts, but, you know, the trail gets beat up in the mud more than it would in drier conditions. And this year, those same sections that they ran, where sort of the bumps kind of got like dug out even further in the mud, there's actually still, number one, the ruts, but number two, those like clumps of mud that get thrown around by your tires. There was like hard clumps of dirt this year. Like the hardened, dry mud from last year was still somewhat on the trail this year. It didn't really affect how rough the trail was. It all breaks up. You don't hardly notice it, but I just thought it was a little bit funny. Just passed my friend John right there. He has an injured shoulder. And missing turns again. If there were like a ribbon across the double track, or I don't know, maybe you know, I didn't notice, but there may have been an upcoming turn arrow. I don't know. I missed it. I imagine other people did too. So this is section 3, actually. I missed recording section 2, so I don't have my SD card, but section 3 started off super fast. When you pulled up to the start of this section, the ladies at the check smacked everyone's butt and cheered for you. So that's always that's pretty fun. And now I'm actually starting first. Leading in my row. Overall, at this event, I would describe it as a lot of elevation change, pretty open woods, not super rough trail by any means. There aren't many rocks. Any rocks that there are, it's like flat shale, and it's loose, but there are no like shale gardens that you're riding through where everything's moving underneath you. It's not really a feature of this area, I guess. So overall, the trail's really fast and smooth. If you're confident, you can really open up here. You just have to watch where you're going, or else you'll blow corners.
Shit.
interesting is that they put us on these gravel roads every once in a while to transfer in the middle of a race section. We don't usually have that in enduros. This area is so remote. I mean, I guess they are able to work with the township on that. And on that note, because there's so much trail here, and because they're able to cross roads in race sections, the trail sections that they put together are longer than usual, I feel. You know, my club's enduro, our sections are, you know, between 3 and 4.5 miles. I think we might have had like a 5-mile section, but only just 5 miles. Whereas sections here were like 6. There may have been a section that was over 7 miles, but I think all of them were at least 5.5, 6 miles. Thank you! Woo! Oh, missed a corner there. The problem there was we came out of the field immediately into the woods where it was like total sun exposure and then darkness and then arrows telling you to go to the right. And here, oh my god, like I was in the rut and my foot peg caught the tall grass and I guess a little bit of the berm and just pulled me straight down. It's just like sometimes the straight line ruts. Same thing almost happened right there. I get pissed when stupid shit like that happens. When my foot peg grabs something, my front wheel starts grabbing the edge of the rut and pulls me one way or the other. It's usually, I think, my right side. I think I'm like putting too much weight in my right hand when I'm holding the throttle, and it just kind of like pulls my leg to the right a little bit, and I'm not just letting it track straight. So that's something to work on for sure. This is section 4, I think. And so far it's all been start controls. This is a timekeeping enduro, but we have not gone through any secret checks into a race section yet. So I could feel myself at the beginning of this section. It was a little bit awkward. Just the corners were slightly off camber, and I felt like I was never going just straight and getting like, you know, being able to put the full power down. Part of that is definitely confidence in my bike and my traction. And part of it's just skill. Just something to work on. Love these super long, steep downhills. It's not often that we get stuff like this in our events. You know, Jersey has no elevation change. PA, there's lots of elevation change, but it's not always big hills. So it's always nice when we get put on these really big climbs or downhills. Right here, I think I'm so focused on the bike, and then I see the arrows side by side on the trees that I don't realize that's a right-hand turn. Usually when you see two trees side by side with arrows on them, it's telling you to go straight, not to turn. So it took me a second to realize that. Plus I was probably watching the guy's bike in front of me and not where the trail was going. I think my foot peg caught the log there. There we go. Such a dumb little crash, but I'm downhill. This is steeper than it looks. I'm off the trail. I passed a bunch of people. There goes Steve. I passed a bunch of people by this point, and now I'm struggling to get back on the trail because, you know, this little step on this bit of trail, there was a little bit of a silty berm, and I just blew it out completely. There wasn't much there to begin with, but it was just so dry and on top of it, so easy to slide out. And just off the trail, it's so leafy. I don't know. It took me a while to recover from that. And then once you crash like that, I don't know. It's hard to build up the intensity again, and you know, it just tires you out more than actually riding the bike does.
Thank you!
But I'm coming back, I'm making a couple passes again, so I know I'm catching up. And I finally catch up to Keith, who's on my line. He'll usually start after me, but I had to work to catch up to him before the end of the section, and right before the end of the section I caught him and whatever. So this is the slide, what they call the slide. It's a hill climb, it's not a race section, it's just a fun feature. You can go around it, you can go up it. It used to be, as I understand, in a race section, and it used to be downhill. And it's the slide because it's steep, it's slippery when wet, and people would just dump their bikes and slide down the whole thing. Now here is section 5. There was that secret check-in. No start control, so you couldn't just pull up and wait. And I think last year in this section, I started out this section. I was almost late to the check, and then like I immediately crashed into the tree. Didn't lose a ton of time. It was just like it's on video. Like I posted the video from last year. And you can see, like, I got stuck, my bike got stuck on a tree.
Woo! There you go!
Now, you haven't really seen much of it so far, because, well, I've been in front most of the time, and not really been stuck behind people, but it was actually really dusty. The camera cuts through really well, and being stuck behind that guy just now was not too much of an issue. But there were definitely moments, like in that first section when I was behind Steve and we blew those first couple corners. Not only did I not see the arrows, I mean, I just couldn't see the trail at all when I was in this dust. And the guys on my line were commenting how they actually needed to like back off a little bit at the start just so not to be in our dust, or else the visibility was just total garbage. Now, this was the beginning of the dry season, and it's been way drier than usual this year, I think. I'm recording this audio in the middle of August, and if you've been riding this month, oh my god. The dust is terrible. Nothing, what we're watching now is nothing compared to the dust now that we have in August. Whoever that is, I never looked it up, but I apologize for that. I clipped you a little bit. I don't think I actually hit you, but I think just my handguard brushed against your handlebar end or something like that, but hope I didn't bust your fingers. Yeah, you can see here, if you had some confidence, really open up. Now, I'm not even close to using the full power of the bike. That's something I need to get more comfortable with. I need more confidence. Definitely something to practice, but that's the difference between myself as a B rider and the A riders. There we go. Grab my left peg. Same kind of crash. At least this one, I got up immediately. I didn't even fall off the bike. Here we are coming into the last section. And that was Steve that just let me by. There was almost immediately at the beginning of the section, this creek crossing. It was totally dry creek bed right now. But last year there was definitely water in there into a pretty fun hill climb. Section of trail that actually had some rocks on it, which I don't even know that you can really see in the video, but that's why I got thrown off kind of on the trail, off the trail a bit. Just like hit it wrong, but this hill climb just goes on forever. Up and up and up and up. We just don't have that kind of these like big hills available usually. So we're coming up on the end here. It's been a super fun race. Barbed Wire is really one of the best enduros in our area. It's always super fun, whether it's a mud fest or whether it's super dry like this. The trails are just awesome. finish it off with drop in a couple kegs at the end. I'm not a big drinker, but I always gotta have at least one and hang out for a while with my friends. It's a good way to end the day of racing. So thanks for watching. Thank you to my sponsors, SRT, Prize Boosters, and I purchased IRC tires from them. Leatt, love my Leatt riding gear and protective equipment. BikeGraphix, ODI Grips, DT1 filters, Mika Metals, and, well, see you at the next one, which would be 3 Springs Enduro.
All right. Oh, wait, that's 7 minutes. Not 1.